We made it! Oh my goodness, look at that. We'll even wait for a couple people to show up. But in case you were watching us do the YouTube live, we ran that right up to 10:58 and believed that we could get onto the live stream or the live feed with Facebook by 11 o'clock, and we did it. So congratulations to us.
Sorry, you did.
It was fun. So anyway, we did just finish a piece, and this is a sample of it right here, or one similar to it, called a 3-trail vase, and that was demonstrated on YouTube Live. So we've started using another platform just to see how things work, but rather than try to schedule another 2-hour presentation or anything, we just decided to do like a short 20-minute piece or something before our regular demonstration on Facebook. And hello, Barbara, welcome from Germany, and Lynn, good to see you. So if you have a chance next week, or maybe you did today, check us out on YouTube Live, Art of Fire, and we do a demonstration there. And today we came close to miscalculating on the time, but we got her done. So anyway, faster than moving from YouTube to Facebook. Okay. And Kimberly Stern says hello from Elkridge. Well, welcome aboard. Okay, so today we're going to feature a Reticello piece. And a Reticello is one of the more difficult techniques to pull off in glass blowing. And I'm not an expert in Italian. I do know that in Italy there are hundreds of dialects, and they all speak pretty much the same language, but a lot of variation. But my best understanding is Reticello refers to a nest. Not necessarily a bird's nest, but the idea of the interweaving of canes, okay? And a Reticello will also trap bubbles in between those canes. So here's a Reticello piece done a few years back, and if I get really close to it, you can kind of see the bubbles in between the canes. And these are done, this is a diagonal pattern in this. Here's another piece, you can see the bubbles in it, and that has the horizontal and vertical pattern. And that's done a little bit differently than the diamond shape or diagonal shape. And that's what we're going to be working with today. So on our agenda today is a demonstration of a cane pull, and then we'll be making a Reticello vase. So Josh and I pulled the cane for the Reticello piece earlier, so it would be ready. But they're going to do a demonstration of a cane pull now, just in case you missed it from a few weeks ago, to show you exactly how the cane is pulled to make these pieces. Foster, you want to bring us one of the little samples over here, the little squares?
While you're starting that, Bruce, I'm actually going to be picking up some solid color just on the end of the pipe. Nothing exciting, just starting to warm it while you guys are talking.
Okay, so Josh is getting a little bit of glass on the end of the pipe, and that's going to make the solid piece of color stick to it. So yesterday we took a few random pieces of cane and stuck them together to try and give you an idea of where and how the bubbles form. Now these did not fully form, but you can see a little bit of air trapped in there. So what we have is one layer of canes. There's one on the left, one on the right, and the canes then are placed on top of each other in this case, and then pressed together, and the heat is what forms the bubble, or actually the melting of the joint between them is what forms the bubbles. And here's another one that it's a little bit easier to see the bubbles forming. So the idea in that is where 2 canes of the lower layer meet 2 canes of the upper layer and fuse together, there's a little bit of air gap that's trapped in between the canes because the canes are round. So because they're round, there's just a little bit of air space, and that gets filled and makes the bubbles. So Josh right now is going to marver out this color chunk, and then he'll probably gather twice over it, and they'll pull the cane, I'd say probably to about a 30-foot length or something. So he'll heat this up, get it shaped, and then let it cool so he can gather over. Good morning, Cindy, and good morning, Mary, and good to see you all. Hey, Patrick Foley's with us. Hello, Patrick. Okay, so Josh has got the glass shaped up. It's gotten dark again. You can see it's got a little heat in it, but it's cooling off pretty well. So now he's got his first gather glass over. Now this is all solid. In fact, he even picked up his color on a solid pipe. There is no air bubble inside of this. He's going to shape this into a conical shape, and he's going to work toward not having a lot of glass off the end of the gather, because that would just be a big old glob of clear on the end, and he wants it pretty much uniform. So once he gets this shaped exactly like he wants, he'll take another gather, and then they'll get busy as far as picking up they make a post and pull the cane. He'll be coming back over here to the Marver in a moment, giving that a final shape. Good morning, Cindy from Damascus. Glad to have you with us. You can notice that it's elongating a little bit from the pressure against the Marver, and that's exactly what he wants. A nice, smooth, conical shape. Not too much glass sticking off the end. And then he'll let that cool just enough that it's not wobbling around so much. Because if it wobbles too much, it's hard to gather over. But if he lets it get too cold, it'll be difficult to reheat later on. So while we're waiting on this just a moment, let's take a look at the cane pattern he's going to use. These are alternating black and white canes. There's 2 whites, then 2 blacks. Once this sheet of canes is fused together, he'll have a collar on a blowpipe and use that to roll them up. So when the left end meets the right end, no, the air bubbles don't weaken the piece in any way when we make the Reticello. When he rolls that up and the left end meets the right end, you'll see that he'll have white against black too. So that's one thing the glass blower has to be conscious of in the setup of a Reticello or any cane piece, is to just make sure that the pattern continues when it's rolled into a cylinder. Now he's got a lot more glass on there, but once again, he'll use the Marver to shape it. Foster's going to begin making what we call a post. He's going to gather on the end of a smaller iron, and then he's going to get a conical shape on the end of it. And then once he does that, that'll be the post for Josh to attach the glass to. So for about the next 2 to 3 minutes, Josh is going to be heating this. The object is to get the heat to go entirely through the piece of glass. If it's cold in one spot and hot in another, it won't move evenly. So by heating it and then cooling it a little bit on the Marver, he controls this. And I'm going to ask Josh in just a moment, would he hold it up and let us see it bend. Okay, see how it's bending at the pipe? That's a good indication that he's got heat throughout. He'll make sure that it's doing it. The little chill of water in there keeps that from being too hot when they attach. Foster's going to go over by the wood pieces we have, and Josh is going to bring it now. So Foster's going to bring him he's going to turn that up. Josh will attach the 2 pieces. He'll hand the one pipe off to Foster, and he's going to keep it pointed down. You can see that the glass is pulling away from the pipe that Foster's using. That glass will cool off faster, so we need to get it pulled away very quickly. You can see that Josh on the other end has quite a large gather of glass down there that he can basically walk across the room with. Foster's is turning dark already, and you can see that the heat is leaving it. Elvis has left the building. Okay, so we can come down here and watch what's going on, and you can see Josh gradually fading into the distance. He's still got a good bit of glass on the end of his pipe, and he's just going to keep on pulling that. In fact, even from here, we can see the orange glow in Josh's glass. You may not be able to on this screen, but this is extended pretty well. So he's going to have quite a long pull here, and it's also got a very uniform diameter. The reason it has a uniform diameter is the way it was heated initially. By keeping an even heat throughout, then as he pulls slowly and under control, they manage to get a uniform diameter. If we don't get a uniform diameter, Reticello is extremely difficult to pull off because the junctures of the canes are uneven. So now in a moment they'll lay it down. Foster will grab a pair of tweezers and break the glass off of this end. And then Josh will take the tweezers and cut the remaining glass.
So what's pretty cool about the tweezers and the glass is, you know, just regular tweezers, no water or anything. You just grab the hot glass, give it a tap, and it breaks. And that's how we cut it up with the cane still hot.
Yeah, so now he's got, what, about a 7-foot piece of glass, and he'll just cut several lengths of that. So we're up to 21 or more. That one broke a little funky, but this is going to extend well beyond. So yeah, we got 30 feet out of that. So we'll let this cool a little bit because it's very hot to pick up even right now with gloves on. And then we'll move it to the back room and then slice it up. But that's how we pull the cane.
Yeah, so that's what do you think, Bruce? Still about 500 or 600 degrees Fahrenheit?
Oh yeah, easily, yeah.
Maybe hotter?
Oh yeah, it's warm stuff. In fact, whenever I'm the one that's picking it up and carrying it around the studio, I put gloves on. Okay, so there's how we pull the cane. So then the next thing is to get into the actual Reticello piece. So this tool right here is called a pie divider. And no, we don't have pie for dessert today, but we do have the 3.14 ad infinity pi calculation. So by measuring from point to point on the end of this pie divider with this carefully constructed part right here, we can set the diameter, and that is the 3.14 times that diameter will equal the length that he's got up there. So he's not ready to use this quite yet, or are you? All right, so he's got the glass open on the end. See how he's putting the jacks into the opening? So it's hollow at this point. So he can take that pie divider, and then after he rounds this out a little bit, he'll use the pie divider to see how his diameter looks. He'll just bring it up slowly and a little more. So he's going to increase this diameter by squeezing the glass. He used the newspaper, and there you can see a much closer fit on that. Now what he's doing is flattening the edge of it with the jack blades, and that's going to allow it to make a nice contact with the canes. Foster's getting ready to start running the plate, is what we call it. He's going to start preheating this plate of canes. Need a hand with the door? Here. Can I get around that? Okay. Okay, so the plate is pretty wide, and Foster needs to get in there and get it hot, but when he's ready, Todd will open the door for him. And now at the same time, Josh is over here, and he's keeping the collar warm. So that's set to the diameter. Foster's going to carefully pull that out in a moment, and then they'll do what we call squeezing it. Okay? So that will be taking the canes and pressing them together. Foster will walk it back over to the bench, lay it on the rail, and now Josh will use a pair of tweezers and perhaps the edge of the pipe to push them together. You can see since they're separating, they didn't have quite enough time yet to fuse, which is good because a couple of them slid a little bit, so he could rearrange things.
You want to rotate that or good?
That's good.
So what they'll do now is get that hot enough to fuse, and when it's fused, starts to fuse together, then they'll probably rotate the plate. Precarious work.
We straighten it out. Yeah, let's bring it back.
So they're going to straighten that up on the plate a little bit. Foster has to be really careful not to tip the plate to the side because the canes would come pouring off. So he'll come back up now, get that on the yoke, nice solid base, and into the glory hole for some more heat. Yes, Kristen, it is quite the balancing act. So you notice Josh keeps coming back over here to one of the other glory holes. He's not getting that glass hot enough to glow, but it's going to be hot enough to stick to the canes. And also, by not overheating it, he'll keep it to where that diameter stays nice and uniform.
About 20 more seconds. Sounds good. It'll be good. You want to have a look?
Okay, so that's the coordination going on. They're looking at the color and looking at if it's fusing. Josh is deciding, yeah, he wants a few extra seconds on that.
Probably like maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah, so he
Say 2
keeps...
minutes? Yeah. Okay.
So by looking at the canes in the glory hole, we can't see that right now. There'd be too many of us up there. But if you look at the ends of the canes, they actually start to melt a little bit. And you don't want them melting and fusing into that ceramic plate, but what we do need is for them to fuse together. So in a moment, Todd will open the door, Foster will return the plate to the bench, and Josh is giving it a good squeeze right now. He's pinching it between his pipe and the tweezers. Now he's going to run over and grab a pair of gloves real quick, and he's going to grab that plate and rotate it 180 degrees. The burner for the glory hole is on the left side of the glory hole. The heat for the left side canes winds up a little bit different for the right side canes in that case. So by turning the plate around, we get an even distribution of heat. Also, the deeper you are in the glory hole, the more heat you find. So by reversing that, what was at the back end toward the opening is now pushed further into the glory hole and gets hotter. Josh is on back over here, and he's getting the collar done. So this is quite an intensive and lengthy process. There's a lot of moments in here where we hold our breath. But hey,
Not for me. I'm just
yeah, you're
over
just
here.
yeah,
I just get to hang out.
Okay. So they're doing some fine adjustments down there. Yeah, it is pretty heavy.
it's very heavy.
But the main thing that makes it kind of concerning when you're running the plate, and I've done a lot of these with Josh, is keeping the diagonal thing level. Because if you tip it to the side just a little bit, the canes will start moving until they're all fused together. Plus, the weight is all about 4 feet in front of you on this metal pipe. So, what would you guess the whole assembly weighs? About 12?
Yeah, at least 12.
Yeah, somewhere around 12
It's
pounds.
so awkward because you got to have your hand in a certain position and hold it.
Yeah. So we've got a T-handle.
I think we're good.
We've got a T-handle on the back of it to keep it from twisting, and there's like a little collar on it. Okay, so here we go with a squeeze, pinching it between the tweezers and the pipe. It gets rid of we call those Ferretti. It's a little metal rectangular piece that holds the canes in place till they fuse. And once they're fused, then we're comfortable taking them away and not having pieces roll off. So now Foster gets that back in the glory hole. And Josh, or Todd. Okay, so we hit the door or the, do you want the shield out of the way?
No.
Okay.
I just need to be more
Okay.
cognizant of where it is.
So, fortunately, they jumped right into action and got it aligned again. And they'll go in the opening and heat that up once more.
So, let us know if you've ever seen Reticello before. Maybe you have one of our Reticello pieces. Maybe you've seen it from another studio, but just let us know. Comment below if you've seen Reticello done, or maybe you have a piece.
So they'll be getting ready to do the pickup here in just a moment. And that's a pretty impressive part of it, and that's another time during the process that we want to pay close attention. And let's see, we got a brush over here. So the canes are on a ceramic plate. How long do a pair of those gloves usually last? Probably about 4 to 6 months. They actually have a cover, a mitt cover on the end of them. It's going on the marver. Foster's going to place it on the marver for the roll up. Josh will place the collar on. He's going to give it one last squeeze, make sure everything's loose. The collar is hot, it attaches, and now we start rolling up the canes, and he brings them around, and now he's going to start using his tweezers to manipulate and bring them closer together. Now he has a few seconds to work with this before they'll get cold and start to split, so he'll take care of more of it in a moment. We use the brush to clear the kiln shelf off of the shelf. We put a solution on the ceramic plate to keep the glass from sticking to it so much. But sometimes a little bit of that kiln dust comes off. So now he's taking this sheet of canes, he's forming them into a cylinder, and where the white and the black are coming together, he's creating a space for them to join. He'll use the pressure of the tweezers for part of it, and then once he gets it pretty much to where he wants, he'll start rolling it on the marver, and that will seal the individual canes together. Yes, Barbara, it is very labor intensive, and this demonstration will probably take up most of today's session. He's using the pressure of the tweezer blade to go ahead and get that. You can see the dust coming off, so there would be residue then. He's looking, inspecting now to see if there's anything else he needs to knock away from there. And now he's going to get ready to seal those canes up, probably on the marver. Now here's the part we haven't covered yet. This is only the first half of the design. You can see Foster and Todd back there laying out another sheet of canes. So Josh has probably got, what, another 20 minutes of work on this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty close to 20 minutes. He's going to roll this on the marver and perhaps use the jacks to make sure that all the canes are sealed together. Then once they're sealed together, he's going to start twisting it. You're going to go clockwise or Widdershins?
What the heck? We'll go Widdershins.
Okay. Personally, when I do the Reticello, I say I'm either going to go right or I'm going to go wrong. So I'll usually pick one and do that on the first. But here's the thing. He's eventually going to make a very large cup out of this. And it will be twisted. And then once the cup is formed, he'll put it, yeah, Marver is correct. Justin answered for somebody. Thank you. So anyway, once he gets it all twisted up and formed into the cup he wants, we'll put it away in an annealer where it'll stay at about 950 degrees. So now, Josh is turning only anti-clockwise or Widdershins or counterclockwise, depending on your language preference. And he's going to want to remember this for future reference, because the next one's got to go the opposite way. And we'll show you how that works out here in just a moment. But this is really a fascinating process, so we want to keep our eye on this. You'll notice that the pipe is staying pretty much in one place, and he's turning counterclockwise. He's going to get that fully twisted up until there are, a little more than 45 degrees to the pipe. And that's going to form the first cup. And then once he does that, he'll get it all formed up, put away, and we'll do another cup that will be twisted clockwise. Which is better, metal or marble? Well, that all depends on asking the glass blower. People have a lot of preferences. Marble supposedly steals less heat. Personally, I like the metal. We have metal most of the way throughout the studio. Foster has some marble down on his bench, but even he uses the metal a lot. So you can see that twist really taking shape in that. And he's getting the whole thing in there, getting it all very, very hot, so he gets his twist all the way down. Now the twist will occur until down at the end. And by taking his jack blades and constricting it, you can see how he begins to form a cup down there. Pull it out just a little bit to give him a little more surface to work with, but he's got that approximate 45-degree twist all the way up the piece. So out at the end down there where it's not quite twisted, he's going to use the jacks to cut down on that, and there'll be like a little flower, we call it, that will be cut off. So now we'll be taking the jacks and squeezing that down gradually. And he'll roll both ways, but he's careful to really only twist in one direction. He'll blow into it to see if it's sealed off, and when it inflates against the flower, he knows it's sealed off. And then in a moment, he'll use the diamond shears to cut that free. And we usually save those little residual pieces. A lot of folks, if they make a good deal of these pieces, will have a collection of 20 or 30 multiple color flowers and put them together in a piece of glass. So now you can see the cylinder is formed. Right now he's creating a jack line to separate it. You're going to leave that flower attached to Bunny tube?
No, we'll
No?
take it off.
Okay. There's quite a few different techniques for doing this. This isn't the only way to form this twisted cup, but this is a really efficient way. He'll need to create a jack line up near the pipe. That's where the piece will separate from the blowpipe. And then when he gets done, he'll be taking it off and opening the top. Here he goes with the diamond shears, cutting off the little flower. Foster catches it. He'll put it in the annealer, and it will be available for whatever future use we want. Josh is grabbing his blow hose now. This will allow him to both manipulate the piece, turn it on the bench rail in front of him, and blow at the same time. How many colors can be used in this technique? Probably as many as you want. It may not be particularly attractive.
Well, no, you did
I did a rainbow.
You did a rainbow.
I did a rainbow. I did the red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. So yeah, you could put a lot of colors in it.
Amanda still wants one.
Okay. We'll do that. I was thinking about that the other day. So now you can see he's blowing while he uses the jacks to shake the side. He may not blow the entire time. He's keeping his eye on it to see what's going on. When he's happy with this, they'll go ahead and they'll do a transfer in a couple of moments. Yeah, Cindy, the flower is cute. It's
Pretty hot. We'll do it just like a sculpture bunny.
So when he says he wants a sculpture punny, what he's referring to is a punny that has a little bit of extra glass hanging off the end of the pipe. Normally we don't do that when we make punnies, but since he's going to be using this to cut it off there, and he doesn't want it to take the bottom out of the piece, Foster's going to deliver him a little bit more of a cylinder than usual. Josh will place it in the center of the bottom, and then he'll actually cut a little jack line into that punty. And what that'll do is when it does come time to break it free, the punty will break in half. It will not separate at the piece. You can see the point right there on the bottom. That's his center. Josh attaches it. He'll move it around. That's going to take a couple moments to chill some, and all he's going to do now is create a small line, and that's where it will eventually separate. By putting a drop of water in that later on, it will break free. And Foster, there's our successful transfer. Let's hear it for Josh and Foster, another successful transfer. Okay, so yeah, we got our fingers crossed. So now we've got the lower 2/3 of a cup made. It's attached to
the... You kind of see the twist kind of straightens up as it gets to the top.
Ah.
You know what I mean? It's not great at the top.
Okay. Well, what he can do with that, if he chooses to, as he's opening, when he heats the top of it, if he turns in one direction only and puts the jack pressure to it, it'll actually twist it back a little bit. So it's pretty cool. So he's going to heat the top of that. Now he wants kind of a straight-sided vessel, but it needs to have plenty of opening at the top so the next layer can go in. So now what he's going to do is open this up. See how he's turning down the bench and not back up. He's turning now but not twisting. And that brought his twist back to it. The pressure of the jack blades on the inside against the canes caused him to renew the twist that had gone out of it. Hello, Jennifer. Glad to have you with us, and everybody else. Okay, so a little bit more work on that, perhaps. He's got the parchopies, which steal less heat and don't mark the glass. He needs, see how he lifted that up off the rails? That was so he could keep turning in the same direction and get his twist in there. The lip of that vessel needs to be a little bit wider so the next cup will go in. Josh is going to hit that groove in the punty he made. Foster's got the cup. He takes it over. We have a small annealer over here, which is electric powered, and Foster will put that into a little receptacle, kind of like a cup of its own, and that allows it to stand up straight. So there we are, and that cup is awaiting. And that'll hold at about 900 degrees, maybe 910, somewhere around there. Josh is taking more measurements, and now what you've seen over here begins to make a little more sense. So while he's picking up glass again, let's take a look, and now you can kind of tell when one cup was set into the other. The outer cup, you can see the entire line of yellow and blue in this case. There's no interruption. That is the outer cup, which is the equivalent of what he just put in the annealer. The inner cup, though, has the outer cup overlay it. So you see where it's hidden. So in here, going this direction, is the inner cup, and that's what he's going to make next. And when those two cups meet, the rounded canes hit each other, and then after the rounded canes hit each other, then he's able to trap the bubbles at every intersection. So the one he's making today is black and white. The one I just showed you a moment ago is blue and gold. And I'll show you something else here that we've been doing. This is a pattern we're not doing today, but it's interesting because with the horizontal and vertical lines, we have still trapped bubbles. And we did that by picking up canes aligned straight on the piece without twisting them. And then we did a trail over top of it. Or maybe we did the trail first. Let's see. Yeah, we did the trail first. It's underneath, running horizontal, and then the vertical cane pickup. So we're back at it again. Josh is at the bench, making his collar, checking his sizes with the pie divider. Foster said, "That's heavy enough for me. You take this one, Todd." We all reach in and help out when needed. So now we're going to go through the, yeah, Lynn, well, black and white on the outside with a rainbow on the inside. That might look pretty cool, but I did one a few years back where I used the rainbow and just white, and did the Reticello. And we've done them too with just straight up rainbow colors. Sometimes you can kind of obliterate the colors. Can you do this technique on other things? Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you wanted to spend the time, you could make ornaments out of this stuff. We've made drinking glasses, we've made goblets, we've made platters. The world is our oyster on that. But as you can see, the process is rather intensive. And the cup that Josh just made, if we were to put this next cup into it, what would you guess, Josh? Would that make about 20 ornaments? Or more even?
Let's see, 7 cane an ornament. That was 44 canes.
No, I'm just saying if we stretch that out when this is done. Maybe 20 or 30 ornaments, but that's, by the time you've put this much effort into it and gone to all these lengths, you want to do something more exciting than an ornament. We made some really cool drinking glasses a couple of years back where we had the Reticello as the center portion of the drinking glass and then had it joined with blue on either side.
12 ornaments.
That would only make 12 ornaments,
Yep.
This whole thing stretched out?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, again, I misunderestimate. Okay, so we're getting the canes heated up. Josh is back over here on the other side, just keeping his collar warm.
The department never done this department?
What's that?
Misunderestimated.
I'm misunderestimating, that's what I said. I was waiting to see if anybody would pick that up. But, you know, hey, this is a serious business.
Sorry. I'll say something.
Serious.
I've been, did I say serious or curious? Oh. Okay, so Josh is still working on that. Now you can see the color in Josh's collar here. All right, it's
Yeah, good work.
and now what they'll do is Todd will return to the bench, and Josh will probably use the tweezers and the pipe itself to kind of, oh, he's picking up now. Here we go.
No, this is
Waiting
just
for a
not-
full contact, and off he comes. Got one wild hair.
Okay, I didn't want to use.
Okay, let's get a torch.
Yeah, let's start it. That was surprising.
Okay, so that one little guy didn't stick. But by using a torch, keeping it hot, and a pair of tweezers, Josh could probably grab and get that guy back on there just where it belongs. It was the end cane.
That
and it's gone. So sometimes that happens. So, but the beauty of it is this is the inside cup. And probably nobody is going to go around counting the canes. Yeah, got my eye on you. You looking for another one, or you just going to seal it up?
Another one.
Okay. We're going to all this trouble. We might as well try to get it done really well. So they're going to...
Let's torch it.
Okay, so the canes break very easily, especially from a thermal shock. So you're going to try to get that by getting the tip of it heated. He'll lay it in where it needs to go and then start to lay it down. And Todd will lead him with the flame then as they move along and run the flame up the piece and get the canes hot there. A really delicate balancing act here, folks. You know, you don't see this every day. Okay, now Josh is going to very carefully go back into the glory hole, and you saw a little bit of a gap there between where the new cane was and where the rest of it is. And by just getting a little bit of heat and using gravity to his advantage. See, he's not turning that a lot. He doesn't want that glass cane to move all over the place. So what he'll do now is very gently come out, and it's already sealed some, and there he goes. It's on there. Let's hear it for Josh.
Great.
Awesome job. Yay.
That was odd. That one didn't.
So, Josh is definitely not the guy that says, oh, who gives a hoot. Let's get it right. Okay, so now we're back to the point of the end canes are ready to join. And since he joined that white one to the existing two blacks, he'll be putting the two whites together, but the pattern will be identical.
Yeah, sometimes if the canes have dust on them, they won't stick. And I'm maybe suspecting they have a little dust.
I'm kind of wondering if you did that deliberately to take up the time. Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't want to have to make another piece today. No, I'm kidding.
More difficult.
I need a challenge, huh? No, that was really challenging and extremely well handled. So now, with all that heat, the canes start to distort a little bit, but by moving quickly back and forth to the glory hole, he can keep them under control and they don't get all overheated. Now he can take and brush off the dust.
Okay, so which way am I twisting, Bruce?
You tell me. Clockwise. To the right. Or the opposite of wrong. Right now he's just going to seal those canes in. Where he joined those whites together, he's, oh hey, Ramiro says, what drama? And Theta responds as Art of Fire turns. That's really good for glass blowers, huh? As the Art of Fire turns. Okay.
Well, Blown Away starts Friday? Is that what
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't seen it before, Netflix has a series where they bring in about 8 to 10 glass blowers, and it's a reality show. The people that are involved in it are actually up in Canada for about a month, and they film every day or every other day, but they broadcast weekly on Netflix, and each week somebody gets voted off the island. Well, they don't actually vote each other off the island. They have professional judges that come in and decide whose work is worthy of staying. So Think of it as the Great British Bake Off with glass, or Survivor. I don't know. Anyway, you can see Josh starting to get the twist into it.
Now I like to take a look at the end this time, Bruce, straight on the end when I'm twisting.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. It goes to like the oval shape.
Okay.
You know, from the twisting. It's kind of interesting.
The bulk of his contact is back at his pipe that's holding the stable, but the glass on the end is very, very hot. So that's how it gets shaped into that oval. And then by simply rolling the piece back and forth, he can straighten it out some. His goal right now is to get a nice uniform twist all the way down. So if he's not getting quite what he wants, he just does a little more. And it's not necessarily a real hard press. He uses his left thumb to press into the glass. The speed with which he does it has a lot to do with it. Thank you, Kristen. Kristen says Blown Away is a great show, but she likes watching us more. Thank you, we appreciate that. Okay, so now he's got the twist in the body. And again, he'll close off the end of it. He's only going to really apply pressure when he's twisting in the correct direction. And again, he's got the flower. Moving a lot faster on this one, bud.
Let me slow down a little.
No, I'm teasing. Okay. So that cup is going to be the inner cup. And if you have just a moment, Josh, when you go back this time,
yeah.
If you could just drag your tweezers once or the back of your jack blade so they can hear the sound of it rolling across the canes.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is actually a little space between canes because they are rounded, and it's that space that's going to trap the air. So when he goes back and gets that done, we'll be able to kind of hear it as he drags a tool across it. If he puts a metal tool on it, you can kind of hear it. Hear that buzzing sound? Okay. That means that it's cold enough. And it's, so now the magic is going to happen. Josh is going to heat that up just to the point that it flows a little bit. Like when he points it straight down, it'll elongate a very little bit. Foster is going to be throwing open the top of this annealer for him. And after Foster throws the annealer open, he'll step out of the way. Josh will move in. He has a blow hose on his pipe. He's still got a little bit of shaping and heating to do. And then what will happen is he'll insert this inner cup into the outer cup. While he does that and it sinks in, he'll blow against it to force the inner cup outward. Then he'll go reheat. He's going to start sealing things up. So I wanted to get over here just to make sure we get you a good picture of this. Josh is still heating, and he'll let Foster know when he's on his way. Foster waits till the last moment to pop the lid.
Foster, when I come over, you can hit F button for me, please?
Yeah, after you come out.
Before I go in.
Oh, okay.
Just in case.
All right.
So what they're coordinating now is to turn off the electric supply.
All right.
Josh is getting the heat.
You're coming to 1070.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
Here comes Josh. Foster throws it open. There's the inner cup. Josh holds it down, goes gently in, hits bottom, and blows. That inflates against the outer cup. He's still pushing in to get a good seal. And then he's going to come out and go reheat right away. He doesn't want to risk those canes cracking. And now what he'll use is pressure from two directions to push the canes together. the blow hose and him blowing out against the inner cup forces it outward to the outer cup. At the same time, he'll be marvering, and that will hold the outer cup tight against the inner one. So he'll get a little more heat on it, and he'll do this step a couple of times. And all this is just decoration. We haven't started making a vessel yet. But it's a beautiful decoration. It's something you don't very often see. Yes, Kristen, sometimes we do add trim color, and I believe Josh has a piece for a lip wrap. So you can see how hard he's pressing on the marver, and then sometimes he blows, and what that does is force the two cups together. The outer cup is forced downward on the marver, the inner cup is forced outward by blowing, and you can see the bubbles forming. What color have you got for a lip wrap?
Black.
Black, okay. So we'll quite often put lip wraps on cane pieces because at the very top of the vessel, where the ends of the canes are, they sometimes change the shape. They'll kind of make it fan out because there's a difference in thicknesses and weight and everything like that. You get kind of a scalloped effect on the end. So if you'd like a nice smooth opening on your vessel, you can put a lip wrap on it. Sometimes it's even just color, just clear. Okay, so now he's rolling it down. You can see how much longer this is getting. And he's rolling the tip to make sure he gets a seal. And this is going to trap air bubbles as he does it. That's what this whole process is about. So he's got to work quickly. He doesn't want to overheat this glass and have it melting inside. He needs to trap those bubbles and fuse. So he really can't slow down a lot right now. But once he's got his bubbles trapped, we'll be able to take a slow turn at the bench and you'll be able to see them. So again, it's the outward pressure from the air, the inward pressure from rolling on the marver. And you can see the bubbles in there somewhat. He's holding it in with the newspaper and blowing. You can see it inflate a little bit. Controlling the shape.
Getting there.
Yeah, now we got bubbles in there. And I'm not sure how they're coming out on the video, but we will have pictures of the finished piece when it's done. And as he opens this up and works it out, it'll become even more visible. Yes, Barbara, it is intense. It's pretty intense work. We've already passed several stages where stuff could go south really quick. So most every step along the way with this is pretty intense. Until you actually get around to making the vessel. Now what he's going to do is cut off the canes that are down at the bottom. This is where the two cups join, and sometimes it traps a little air down there, and also it brings the canes together at a center point at the bottom in case there was a little bit of misalignment. I'm trying for a closer shot of the bubbles, Ramiro, but I'm afraid to get too close with the camera, and it's moving. Okay, there we go. That's the best we're going to get. Cindy, the newspaper is at room temperature. It's soaked in water, not dripping wet, but plenty wet, so that it forms a really good insulation. So it protects your hand. We don't have them so that you could squeeze out water from a squeegee. And then as you can see, the newspaper just sits on the bench, so it's basically room temperature except when it's touching glass. Yeah, Kristen, we could make a paperweight with that piece he snipped off, or flatten it into another design, or a little bit of something. It's just little knickknacks. All right, so now he's got a moment, and we'll get in here close without burning the camera, and you can see the bubbles in between the lines of cane.
They'll become a little more evident when we gather over it.
Yeah. So what he's doing right now is the same as we do in other pieces that we've demonstrated. He's letting this cool some before the next gather. He doesn't want to go in with this still really hot and then have the 2,000 degree heat of the glass penetrate it and then have it all collapse. That would not be good. And you can see from the end how the canes come together down there.
Yeah, I'll just paint it.
Everything joins in the center, a nice pattern and everything. So now it'll be a pretty good sized gather on this.
Yeah.
A lot of glass. He strips it off on the marver because it's more than he needs. By holding it pointing straight down, then the gather is evenly distributed. Todd will be throwing that cast-off glass back into the furnace, and we'll have it for later use. And Josh right now is going to use the newspaper. He's shaping that bottom. We have a block that would hold that, but this is probably a little better to work with right now. You see the steam coming off the newspaper, and in between trips to the glory hole, one of us will sprinkle a little water on the paper. We just sprinkle it on. If we were to take it and dunk it in the bucket, we'd probably pick up too much water, and we'd have paper mache a lot sooner than we wanted. A lot of smoke coming off of that, but that's about 7 sheets of newspaper folded up into about an 8x7 square and then wet, and it's a perfect insulator. And now that he's holding it down, we'll see. He's got to control the glass. I mean, he's really accommodating and trying to show you stuff, but if he's making the piece, that's the ultimate concern, not slowing down to show us the bubbles. Actually, Ann, we do this without gloves, and when you take a dish out of the oven, it's much hotter than us grabbing the glass with the paper or our bare hands on the blowpipe. It's not all that bad, and we're careful to keep things cool or cool enough, and the newspaper wet. And if it gets any holes in it or anything, we simply replace it. Contrary to popular opinion, we have not all burned the nerve endings out of our hands by grabbing hot glass. Okay, so he's got his length going on here. Foster's overheating up the jack blades so we can get some more wax on them. We need the wax so that the blades glide across the glass. The blowing iron that Josh has this on right now is hot to the touch, probably for about a foot up from where it's on there. Now Foster's going to use the jacks and cut a jack line. At the same time, Josh turns the piece uniformly, and you can see Foster really squeezing down on that, and Josh is inflating the lower part of the vessel. And they'll probably do this a couple of times until they get that jack line constricted to the point they want. Marvering cools the bottom. You'll notice he has it inclined and he's forming a cone toward the tip. That's going to keep that from inflating too much. That just cooled that glass where he touched the table by a couple hundred degrees. When he goes back in now and reheats, that glass has further to climb in temperature. So it won't blow out as badly or as much as the middle of the vessel. Notice he's still got that conical tip and it's getting fat in the middle. That's because of the marvering he did right before he went back to reheat. Okay, now it's about keeping it symmetrical and centered.
You want a cheater on this?
All right, he's letting this cool just a little bit, but we'll look for bubbles in a minute.
Just a little bit more of a working.
Yeah, David, it is. This is like the ultimate in teamwork. So now he's got that blown out enough, he needs more doors to get in and out of the glory hole. And that one door doesn't always want to cooperate. Now it's held in place.
What do you want this here?
Do a little more shaping.
Cutting down the jack line a little more. The jack line's a really important part of your process. Now we can get a little bit better view of some of these bubbles. Things are starting to spread apart. And you can see all those bubbles in there. But back to the jack line. It's very important to get a good break off that you have a good jack line. If the jack line's not cut tight enough, the glass actually can shatter up there. Because when it breaks free of the blowpipe, it releases a little bit of stress and it tends to expand. And if it expands outward too much, it will actually crack down the side of the piece. What Josh is doing right now is heating the lower portion of the piece so they can go ahead and get this shaped up like they want to sit level on a table. Notice he goes back in with the full length of the piece every once in a while. That's our flash heat, just to keep the temperature even up in the top. He's going to come back again, and now he's going to they're going to paddle the bottom. Josh holds it with the paper to keep that shape from distorting. Foster pushes with the paddle, and that works on flattening the bottom. Now, if it doesn't do quite enough, they'll go back and do it again. Josh will be the judge of that. If he can put a little dimple in the bottom for the punty to sit. Okay. Little dimple in the bottom is so that when the punty goes in there and then comes off, if there's a little bit of a shard of glass, it's not sticking down below the surface of the vessel. Josh is going to take a couple heats. Todd's jumped in, he's getting the punty ready over there. He's going to form the punty, and then they'll do the attachment, and we'll be off to the races to finish the base. So the punty on a vessel like this is a little larger in diameter and a little stronger than what we normally make, say for a drinking glass. You notice Todd held it up just to get Josh's approval. That's really important. I mean, if you don't get exactly what you want, you just try it again, because this is important. There's going to be a fair bit of weight, plus it's a long vessel, so it's extended out. Okay, so now we're going to have the centering, and then we have to get this to cool. You need Sophietta? Going to use this puffer or Sophietta to cool the joint between the punty and the bottom of the piece. He's blowing right into that juncture. That stabilizes it. Todd gives him the yes, I'm ready nod. And then Josh, with a couple of drips of water, support for the piece, breaks it free, and now Todd goes into the glory hole. And then Josh will look at the top of that a little bit, and then we'll get a lip wrap on it with the black that he talked about earlier. What, you've had enough? You leaving? Oh, okay. Hey, you guys got it, huh? Wow. No, he's getting the torque. This piece is long enough that while he's heating the lip and working the top of the vessel, there's a chance that the bottom will be sticking out of the glory hole. So by lighting this propane torch, one of us can walk up alongside him while he's heating the top of the vessel and heat the bottom, which is extended out of the glory hole. So there he's doing it right now. We'll get over here to Todd. So he needs to keep that heat throughout the vessel, and that's what he's doing right there. Foster's got the lip wrap. He's heating it up so it'll be soft and malleable. Judy Fox says her heart races every single transfer. Ours do too, but it's caused by thinking, I don't want to have to make another one.
That's right. That's right. Take a look. Sure, let's round it out.
Okay, so Todd's going to turn the piece at the bench. Josh will be doing what we call working outside the bench. Okay, so he's going to work outside the bench using, well, right now he's going to get some newspaper. He's going to go in, he's going to shape the shoulders, I'm pretty sure, and the top of that, okay? He's just trying to get that. So they reverse positions. Todd is going to straighten the lip and use the paddle to keep it flat. We're not going to open it up a lot right now because we need the
A few moments.
we need the lip wrap on it.
I need about 30 seconds.
For the lip wrap, Foster will be coming over here right about where I am, so I'm going to get out of the way. Hello, Michael Herman. We're working on Reticello today. I'm going to walk over and get out of the way for the lip wrap.
Get up and ready when you are.
So Josh today is making a Reticello vase with black and white cane. Foster's going to come around behind the bench, deliver it to Josh. Josh will make the attachment and just let it peel off onto the lip of the vessel. It goes all the way around, and then when he pulls it away, it'll either break free, or if he needs to, he can cut it. And it just burned itself right off. So that little black lip wrap there is going to keep the canes from scalloping so much when he opens up the top of the vessel. And now you can see we're using, when he pulls back to heat the lip, Todd uses the big noisemaker to heat the bottom.
Okay, Todd, you can open this.
Now they're going to team up on it again. Todd's going to be using the jacks. That'll be for the opening process. He'll use the paddle to flatten the lip if he needs to any, just to keep it nice and level. Josh will probably be using the newspaper to hold the sides of the piece in shape.
I think we're good for that. It's moving a little bit.
So here's Josh holding it in with the paper. Todd's using the jacks and the paddle. Josh is getting the shape he wants, the taper right there.
Alright, cool. Get a little more heat. And then we'll just kind of get it to...
Okay, so he's describing the line he wants to get. Then Todd will be adjusting the angle of the jacks, and Josh will be holding the newspaper so it all works together. piece that when Josh goes back in to flash the piece, he and Todd will decide whether the bottom needs any more heating. If we get too much heat down there, the putty gets soft and the piece wiggles all around. So this will probably be his last flash, and then we'll be coming back to the bench.
You grab the Parchopies, Todd. You could be pretty close.
The Parchopies have the wider blade. They don't scar the glass, and they give us a little bit different touch. And you can see that shoulder coming out there on the top, as Josh described that. Right before he went back for the reheat, he kind of waved his hand up there like, this is what I want it to look like. And this is what he wanted it to look like.
Tiny bit.
Almost what he wanted it to look like. Okay.
Famous last words.
Little Miss Fussy. I'm kidding. No, when you know that exactly what you want it to look like, you got to go for it.
I saw it on a piece of paper.
All right, so we're going to get back into it again with the Parchopies. You can see from those big rounded wooden blades, and they don't steal heat because they're wood instead of the metal like the standard jacks, and also because they're also rounded on the tip, they don't bite in and cut the glass, so it's really a great tool to use. So Josh will call the shots as how he wants this to shape. Yes, Jessica, fussy means getting it done right. The pressure Josh is applying with the paper is affecting the slope down there about 4 to 5 inches below the top. Gets that little wrinkle out that he wanted and gets just the shape he likes to make sure the top is flattened. And then he's got a nice smooth profile there.
You want to get a close up of the bubbles?
What's that?
You want to get a close up of the bubbles.
Hit the bottom of the torch when I'm looking at gloves.
Sounds good.
Going into which one?
I think we're on at 3.
Okay, so now they're going to heat that up a little more. Where's it going? All right, they're getting ready to take it off. Todd is gloved up. He'll actually heat the gloves a little bit to make sure that if they are cold, that they don't crack the surface of the glass.
God, it was such a serious day today.
Yeah, such a serious day today.
So
You can tell all of us are concentrating. A little bit of water right on the bottom, the tap of the pipe, and the putty comes free, and off we go to the annealer. All right, way to go, guys. Come on, let's hear it for Josh, Foster, Todd. Yes, indeed. Yeah, how about that? And I can tell by Mickey's big hand and little hand that Josh has got another 45 minutes of glass to make.
I should have went slower. Now, time to pass.
All right, so let's go on back down here and take a look at what we've got, what we've done, and oh, hey, we didn't talk about who won last week's Celadon goblet. We gotta do that before we go, folks. Okay. Oh, and if you were with us last week, you saw the ginger jar made. So there it is in all its glory, and you got the lid on it and everything.
Mary Ann Evans.
Mary Ann Evans.
Yep, she was
the
the winner
winner
last
of our goblet. And did we have something for this week? Aha! Beautiful. So we've got a trumpet flower vase with the blue and jade green. So if you've commented while we're in process today, you'll be entered into the drawing for that.
Yep.
So This is a little bit different shape than what you just saw, but you can see that with those blue and gold canes, we've done the same thing in black and white. And so we've got a wide variety of these things. But check us out on artoffire.com. We've got a full catalog of everything we make. We can do custom pieces. If you're not sure what you want or you want to give somebody something, check out a gift certificate. That'll take care of it. And if you want to dress like us, I can't imagine why anybody would. But we've got actually they could dress like us, they just don't want to look like us. Okay, yeah. So anyway, here are the t-shirts. Okay, so
I have it.
yeah, he's got it's perfect, and Foster's got the tool set, and I've got for a hot time. Yep. So there we go.
And then I also wanted to bring up, if you saw 2 weeks ago, we did the base for this guy. Later in the week, I actually made the lid, and I will be making a lid later on, probably next couple of weeks, because some people were asking how the lid was made. So we'll be making one of those lids and showing people how that's made. So stay tuned in the next couple of weeks. And then I think we're going to be
getting close to Valentine's Day. Start talking about hearts. Yep. Yep. So that's what's up and coming on the Art of Fire. So join us next week. We'll be glad to see you. If you get a chance, check us out on YouTube half hour before we start this. Listen, if we could change the camera over in 2 minutes from doing YouTube to FaceTime, you can watch us and then switch over. We would appreciate it. Have a great week from the Art of Fire. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.